Hi everyone, my name's Pam. Welcome to another edition of Bluebird Corner, the Cardiff City Fans podcast. Today's podcast is looking back at a season. We're doing the 95-96 season. So as you know, every Tuesday we're looking back on a particular year. So first of all, we'll have a look at the background to the season. So Rick Wright is the reluctant owner. He took over the club in 92. He was said from day one, to be fair, he's very honest. He only wanted to be at the club for 2 years, but he was struggling to sell the club in 1994. And this sort of went on. I mean, I mentioned in the previous pod that Jim Cadman, the solicitor from the West Midlands, was involved in a consortium that never got over the line. So Rick Wright just wanted to get out. You know, he had no interest in staying. As chairman of the club, City were back in the lowest league, which is Division 3 then, because the Premier League was established. Then you had Division 1, 2 and 3, so that's League 2 in today's money. And City were yo-yoing in the sort of late 80s, early 90s between the bottom two leagues, so it was pretty desperate in terms of no prospective owner was coming in with money. And our legendary manager, Eddie May, resigned his post as manager, and Samish Kumar, the former Birmingham City director and clothing company owner from the West Midlands, I think he had a degree in economics or something, the Kumar brothers, as they were known of. I think he lived in London, commuted in his BMW coupe down to City games, and he took over the ownership of the club in 1995 and immediately appointed Kenny Hibbert, the legendary Wolves defender, as manager, and Bill Caldwell came in as director of football. And a number of players at that particular moment, really, well, at that time, retired. Incredibly, we had about 7 or 8. I mean, there was Hazelwood, Wayne Faraday, Cohen Griffith, Milson, Ryan Nichols, and John Pearson, while youngsters Graham Street and Walker are released. So Hibbert continues to clear the decks. He sells Nicky Richardson to Bury. Charlie Oatway is loaned to Coleraine in Ireland, and Paul Miller, our fans' favourite midfielder, returns to Northern Ireland. So it's quickly made clear that no funds are available, and the only signings really come in on a free. Ian Rogerson, who was our one of our better players in the late 80s, I think he was between 88 and 91. He was there. He came back to City, and we also signed Paul Harding, the midfielder from Birmingham City. He was on a free as well, and we actually later loaned Paul Shaw Paul Shaw was loaned as well from Arsenal before the season opened. Now, City start with a 3-3 draw at Rochdale, with Tony Bird getting 2. City, though, get 1 point from their next 3 games and are in 22nd place in the lowest league. Now, City are trawling Europe to try and get some bargain-free transfers, but a couple come in, but nothing really major materialised in terms of their impact. And Carl Dale actually is the key player for Cardiff City. He scored 5 goals in 9 games in the early part of the season. That pushes City into 14th, with wins over Darlington away and home to Scarborough. City, though, only get 2 wins in their next 8 and have now been 18th. On the 18th of November, are back down to 22nd. And director of football Caldwell dies after having surgery, and Kumar moves quickly to appoint Kenny Hibbert as director of football, relieving him of his duties as manager, and brings in former England international and Liverpool star Phil Neal, the right back. So, on the one hand, we was great having these names as they were, but it was quickly proven that Kenny Hibbert was not manager material. And then, obviously, for whatever reason, Kumar decided to go the same kind of route with ex-legendary players coming in as manager, and Phil Neal was a manager with Jimmy Goodfellow as assistant. But City's defence was, awful state. I mean, we had players like Lee Jarman and Lee Badley in defence, and although they were local lads, they were very limited in terms of their ability. City City only get one win in December over Hartlepool with another 2 from Carl Dale, and City end the year with a 0-0 Boxing Day draw at home to Chester in front of just over 7,500 fans. So City go into the new year with a really awful performance at Preston, losing 5-0, and City are back in 20th place. And we do have a little mini bounce there. We actually win 2 games, and in one of those games, Carl Dale scores a hat-trick against Doncaster, and City move back up to 16th. Now, City during the season, we did actually bring in a few other players. Tony Phillips-Gurk, who had a very good career at Bolton, the striker. We had Nathan Wigg, who came through the youth. Russell Osman, the former England international defender. Paul Harding came in. Steve Flack, the striker, and the Scottish lad Jimmy Gardner. So we brought in a few other players, but these are all free transfers, and they didn't really, influence the performances on the pitch for City. And City are back down. Well, the crunch game actually was in February, where we played Torquay, who were down at the bottom, and we got a credible draw there, 0-0, and that kept us in 20th place. The City only win 1 of our next 12 games and are back in 22nd place. Beat Hereford 3-2 in the penultimate game of the season, Phillips-Gurk getting 2, but lose the last game at Bury 3-0 and finish the season in 22nd place. So we were actually the 90th worst club in the Football League, including the Premier League, of all the 92 clubs, which was, our worst, finish to a season, worst performance in our history. And this was without question our lowest point. Incredibly, though, Carl Dale scored 23 league and cup goals that season, including 21 in the league. And if it wasn't for Carl Dale, we were certainly being relegated. Ironically, the team who actually finished bottom, and you can see from that league table, we only had 8 wins all season and scored less than 1 goal a game. I think it was 39 goals in the season. And when you think that Carl Dale got more than half of those, tells you how shocking the rest of the team were. We averaged 3,420 for the season, which was again 25% down on the previous season. And amazingly, we lost 5,000 fans over 3 seasons. So, yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is that ironically, Torquay, who were that bad, that season, we were fortunate that we had a team who were so bad in that division that we didn't finish bottom. But Torquay actually didn't get relegated that season because for the football conference winners were Stevenage, and their stadium or ground facilities weren't up to the standard required to join the Football League. So Torquay actually stayed in the Football League, and unfortunately for Stevenage, they stayed in the conference. But you can imagine if we'd gone out of the Football League and into the conference, how things could have been different. And you can see from that league table how things changed over the years for a couple of clubs there. You can see Fulham in that, now obviously fairly strong team in the Premier League, around a mid-table team. And then the irony is there, you've got Chester City, who are now in the equivalent of Division 6, which is National League North, I believe. So there's a massive difference over those seats between those clubs. So Cardiff City under the ownership of Samish Kumar, lucky to survive. He obviously appointed Hibbett, who's a friend of his. Kumar used to be director at Birmingham City, and it's it was a really terrible time for Cardiff City. You know, I remember going to the games and just the whole atmosphere. Well, there wasn't much atmosphere. You know, the Ninian Park was able to hold 39,000, and even though we had the seats there, that reduced capacity. You know, seeing 3,000 there was shocking, really. 2,000 at times as well. So yeah, it was not a season to remember. If you can let us know what your memories were of that season. I just remember it being an awful season. There weren't many high points. Obviously, Carl Dale, excellent striker for us, and without question, he was our saviour that season. But yeah, as regards to off the field, you know, new ownership, no investment. Kumar, like, you know, obviously, you know, he had an economics degree, a likable chap, but he didn't really have any affinity with Cardiff City. He was a Manchester United fan, so yeah, it didn't end well. So Cardiff City, there, just stay up, as you can see. I hope you enjoy these little podcasts we do about bringing back memories. It'd be great to hear what your memories are of that particular season, and all your comments are really appreciated. So thanks very much for watching. We're not going to do a podcast tomorrow after the Exeter game. Obviously, well done to the 600 City fans who were travelling down to Exeter for the Tuesday night game. And we wish all the fans a safe journey there and safe journey back. And good luck to BBM and the City boys. We can keep that unbeaten record going. I was actually surprised. I didn't even remember that we were unbeaten in pre-season. So I think it's like something like 16 games already unbeaten under BBM, and it'd be great to keep that run going. But we will be back for a podcast on Thursday, doing a preview for the Cardiff City Bradford game, which is a massive match, biggest game of the season without question. And there'll be a post review of the game on Sunday. So thanks very much for watching Bluebird Corner, and we shall see you soon. Take care.